Hi there, I'm Gordon MacLeod. We're going to learn a little bit about Irish jig bowing today. Now that's an example of a simple Irish jig. What makes it a jig? A jig has the rhythm jiggity jiggity. It's normally written in 6/8. That would be called a double jig, the one that I was just playing. Historically, that's because it has two sets of 3/8 notes, da 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 da. Other types of jigs might have another rhythm where they go ba da 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 da, like a single jig, or da 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 da. But anyway, a double jig is made up mostly of measures which have 6/8 notes in them, and the 8th notes go like. Now they're written out. If you see a jig written, it's written out as if all of the notes had the same time value. All of them are written as 8th notes. In a measure, you'll have 6, usually 3 tied together in 3. But in reality, we don't play them that way. If we did, it would be... wouldn't sound at all like a jig. This is the sound of a jig. And in that jig, Old John's jig that I played just a minute ago, we have a lot of those single 8th notes. But you'll notice I'm not playing them all equally. The first and the 4th note in each measure, da 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 da, get a little bit of an emphasis. Now with the violin or the fiddle, one of those, because we're going back and forth, one of those is on what we call a down bow, where the bow is going away from my body, away from my face. My hand is moving away from my face on a down bow. But because we're alternating strokes, on the 4th one, the bow's coming up. So we give those notes a little extra kick. Now you'll notice that the down bow tends to have a little bit more emphasis, which is as it should be really, because that's the first note in each measure, and we want to be able to feel the rhythm. If I play single 8th notes, all of the same value, I don't get that triple rhythm that a jig has, that da 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 da. In order to do that, I have to play a little bit longer and a little bit harder on the 1st and 4th note in each measure. But because the first one has a down bow, and it's the 1st note in the measure, I tend to give it just a little bit more than the 4th one. Now, how do I make that emphasis? With bow speed. I move the bow a little bit further on those notes than the other notes. Now, for them to all fit in the time that they go, that means I have to steal that little extra time that I give to the 1st note from the 2nd and 3rd notes. So I get this lazy rhythm where the 1st note is long, the 2nd one is short, and the 3rd one is somewhere in the middle. notice that the middle one is the shortest one. So just take your fiddle and let's play this together on the D string, just that rhythm. Up, down, up, up. Down, up, 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 down, up. Now you'll notice my hand is moving on the second and third and fifth and sixth notes more than it is on the first and third notes. That's because I'm doing the first and fourth notes with my arm mostly. I'm moving my forearm back and forth, bending my elbow. But the other ones, I don't want to move so far, so I'm doing it with my hand. So I'm going ba da da, ba da da. Now I'm moving my hand too on those, but I'm doing most of the motion for the second, third, fifth, and sixth notes with my hand, using my wrist. So I get this lazy kind of sound. It's because I smooth out my bow changes with my wrist. Now that's a very hard motion for a lot of people to learn. Sometimes I try to get people to do it by telling them to hold their forearm and just move the bow with their hand. If you get the feeling of that, then maybe you can put the bow on the fiddle and only move your hand, don't move your arm. And you can get a feeling for what that feels like. And then you can add the arm movement in. So that's the basic jig rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can practice that a lot of ways. You can just go. Or you can play a little tune like the one we played, Old John's Jig. So that's a good one because it has mostly single bows and we're not using a lot of slurs or a lot of ornaments. You can just focus on the rhythm. So it's a nice tune. I'll play it for you again.